Hello,
Yay!
everyone. My name is Lycan, and I am the music lead over here at PonyFest Online. But I am also music lead of Everfree Northwest, and I've been involved in the TrotCon music, the online
Yep.
one. I was involved in the AV crew for High Roll PonyCon and also BronyCon and lots of other things. So I've been around the convention scene for over 2 years now with regards to AV and music. So that's my role. And my co-host today is Luckrock. So Luckrock, do yourself an introduction.
Hello, I am Luck Rock, and I cover most of the concerts for the cons that Lycan doesn't do, at least in America. I manage for HarmonyCon. I was a co-manager for BabsCon this year. I got TrotCon, Ciderfest, Winnie City. I got MLP MSP for that 1 year they came back. A lot of fun, a lot of good times. Actually, you missed one too because we both were on Ciderfest at one point.
Oh, yeah, that's
together.
right.
That was my first time ever on a music staff.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that was the Ciderfest 2018, I believe.
Yep, I learned from Lycan.
Yeah, which was like the largest music-based convention ever. Music PonyCon-based one, anyway. Yeah, that was one hell of a year.
That was a legendary convention as far as I'm concerned.
Oh,
I'm sure a lot of people would agree.
Yeah. We actually have the questions opened up already, if I'm not mistaken. Are we open? Oh, yes, I think they're open. So
it says the channel is open. So bitrate stage questions.
Yeah.
Anything you want to know about concerts, musicians, how we do it, how we put up with it.
Yeah. So in between that, we'll fill you in with some stories, information, shenanigans, all that kind of thing. So we'll start off with a bit informative so that you guys can understand what we actually do. So a lot of people think the music lead's role is to just be there and go, oh, hey, let's get some musicians, put them up on stage, and we're done. That is definitely not how it works at all. We need to do such things as budgeting. So how many musicians can we have? Where can we get the musicians from? Like, is international acts okay? Do they all have to be more local acts? That's one thing, because if we have too many musicians, we've also got too many hotel rooms that we've got to fill up, and that also gets considered into budgeting. Depending on convention, there can be big limits or very tiny limits that you have to try and squeeze between. Do you have anything else to add on the budgeting thing there?
Yeah, so it sort of like depends on the con and who's in charge and calling the shots. Because the way I will like select musicians is very different based on the con that it's for. Some cons are very sponsor centric, where the sponsors will play at least a somewhat significant role in who they want to see perform. Whereas others will sort of be like, well, you know the musicians, so just give us the best show we can ask for.
Yeah.
So depending on sort of the atmosphere.
And it matters where the con is. So, for example, if we're talking like Everfree Northwest, we get the pool of musicians on the West Coast. So that's your Odyssey and your Lunar Jacks, that kind of thing. Whereas if you're on the East Coast, then you get more like your Silverhounds and that kind of thing, because he's from the Atlanta area. So it depends where the con is to who you can get. And even with something like Ciderfest that's in the middle, it might be easier to get, say, someone from Texas. So we got what was it, the Wonderbolts that time, because we were able to get them up, but getting them over to Everfree, not so easy. Yeah, so
it costs a lot of money to fly 5 people to and from a convention.
Really it does. So I mean, that's one part of what we have to think about, and that also goes into how we choose the musicians. The other thing to think about is not just budgeting, but time constraints. So if we have, say, let's just arbitrarily say 7 p.m. till 2 a.m. That's what, 7-hour set? How many musicians can you fit into a 7-hour set? Not a lot. And then you got to think about what type of musicians they are. So, for example, if you have a lot of acoustic and live musicians, then you got equipment on stage. You've got to get that off stage. If you're transitioning, there's lots of things like that with live musicians, sound checks, everything there. Whereas DJs, they usually just plug in and they can go for their life from there. So time constraints is another factor which goes in big. Also, how long do you give each musician? Do you give them a 30-minute set, a 45, maybe an hour set? Yeah, there's a lot of things to think about.
Yeah, and I mean, you'd probably agree. There, I mean, the prep work for the con is, I don't want to say like
insane.
The vast majority of it, but it is like a significant portion of like just getting ready and getting everyone, making sure everyone knows where they need to be and when.
Yeah. So far we've talked about like all the prep work, you know, budget, time constraints, the pool of musicians, all this kind of stuff. We haven't even got to con yet. So we haven't even touched on that part. And you get some funny requests when setting up for the musicians, because I did have one musician ask me, oh hey, can I be paid $1 just so that I can tell all my friends and post up online that, yeah, I'm doing a paid music gig? I'm like, sure, I will donate that $1 myself just so you can say that. It's like, awesome.
I get the idea they didn't claim that dollar on their income tax, though.
Oh, no. What a shame. Yeah, so I mean, we've had stuff like that. Another one is when they're always like, oh yeah, we're gonna drive to con, and then they're like maybe 2 hours away, and then you hear from them a week earlier, oh, my car is broken down.
Oh, I just got physically angry. You just unlocked something.
Yep. So it's like, well then, all right, what shall we do? So yes, this panel is all about things that go right and things that go completely and utterly horribly wrong.
Yeah, that's true. You didn't even say like the scariest word when it comes to our job, or at least for me, which is sound check.
Sound check. Yes, the proverbial sound check. One thing that you got to realize is that sound check is not about musicians practicing on stage. It's not for them to use the stage to like practice their songs of, oh, I want to play this entire song because, you know, we need to work together. The purpose of sound check is so that we can get multiple mics around the stage and make sure that they all sound good. We want to make sure that the guitar doesn't come in too loud, that it's actually picking up properly. We want to make sure that anyone on vocals is actually sounding really, you know, clean. And so it's not mixing up with all the other musical instruments on stage, because if it does mix in when it picks up on the mic, if we turn the mic up to make their vocals louder, it also make all the other instruments louder too. And so mic check's not about them practicing their sets. It's more about making sure that all the mics are in the right positions and that they are picking up what they are meant to pick up. And more importantly, that the mics work.
Soundcheck is the reason why I can't talk by day 2, is because I just spend 2 hours yelling at people.
Yes. Yeah. We had one instance where it was actually a cable that wasn't working once. And so input 1 was fine, input 3 was fine, input 2, completely dead. We're like, what's going on? Change over the mic. It's not the mic. Change over the cable. Wait, is it the yes, it's the cable. Okay, put the original mic back on. And this is all that happens in the 2 hours of sound check.
Hopefully they figured that out quickly, because you can lose a lot of time.
Yes, you can. You can lose a lot of time. And 2 hours goes by very quickly when you have 10 musicians, because that's not much time each.
Especially if you have bands.
Oh, yeah. So we've got a couple of questions in the chat. For one that may want to be a musician / DJ at a con, what should they know before applying for a spot? Okay, so a good thing to have is a demo reel. We can absolutely tell you that if you have something to show us, if you're a live musician, have a few recorded songs or something like that to like send to us and be like, hey, look, here's 10 minutes of me doing some music on stage. Or even if it's in your just garage or whatever, just record it, send in. If you're a DJ, you probably have a recorded set of maybe 30 minutes or up to an hour set that you can be like, hey, here's an example of me DJing, and send that to us. If you don't have anything, how are we meant to know whether you're good or not, or are able to do all this stuff? So the first thing I would suggest is build up a demo reel.
The biggest thing to me is, with your application, prove to me that you can perform and perform well. There's a myriad of ways to do that, but the best is usually if you can link some kind of video evidence, that even if it's just like you in a dormitory, just like having fun playing guitar, if you can show me you're entertaining and can sing on key, if you're a singer, if you're a DJ, same story. Show me that you can do a set, put a little pizzazz in it, make it exciting, make it stick out. That goes a long way.
Yeah, it really does. YouTube is your friend. If you make songs or can put your performances up on there, absolutely do so. We all started somewhere. Even the best musicians in the world had 0 followers to begin with, so they built up over time.
I don't know about you, but don't be like, at least in my case, don't be afraid to like reach out to me too. Like, you can ask for advice on like, I really want to play this. What should I do? I don't know how to answer this question on the application. Or just like, hey, I'm so and so. I make this kind of music. I want to play live. What can I do? Because for a while before I got to play at shows, like I didn't even necessarily need my own set. I just wanted to like play on stage. So like, you can reach out to other musicians, or if you reach out to the music coordinator, like I'll know who's going to need people to play for them if they want to do bands. So if you're like, oh, I play bass guitar, do you know anyone that needs a bassist? I can like throw that out to the musicians and say, hey, does someone need a bassist? I got a guy who wants to do it. I can put you in touch.
Yeah.
Really doing anything is better than just like guessing and doing minimal work.
Yep. That actually brings us to another question from the chat here. How long did you know about music? As a fact, there were a lot of people who good talents at music, like the Living Tombstone, Mando Peroni, Prince, whatever, etc. Like I said earlier, musicians started somewhere. So if you have a passion for this kind of stuff, just pick up an instrument and start learning it. There are plenty of, instructional videos on YouTube. There's great ways to, I'm sure there's apps and whatnot that you can like go along to learn an instrument. Or if you're DJing, again, same thing. YouTube will be your friend with finding how to DJ. There's plenty of some free software to get you started. So there's pretty low entry point for even that kind of thing. And then from there, you don't be afraid to ask us and other musicians as well. Be like, oh, hey, do you have any tips for DJing and stuff? We're all really, really helpful on lots of these things. And there's plenty of Discord servers out there too. So there's the Ponies at Dawn server. Yep. There's, even conventions have their own servers where I'm sure you can find someone on there to ask.
The musicians and producers in this community are so helpful. Like, if you don't understand something, you have a question, if you put it out there, they will either tell you like what you need to know, or they will find someone who can tell you. I cannot imagine trying to learn anything like that I didn't know about music 10 years ago without this community. It's like an unbelievably useful resource. I remember at one point I was having trouble recording something, and I like had been trying for days and I couldn't figure out what was going wrong. And I went to a musician server and I was like, here's like exactly what's going on. I don't know what it is. And someone pretty quickly responded, is the microphone backwards? And that was how I figured out the microphone was backwards.
Oh dear.
And then I made a video of me slamming my head into a door.
And it can be something as simple as that. I mean, yeah. So there's a lot of these established musicians and stuff. They were all in the same boat. They all, you know, began at the beginning and just worked up from there.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we'll get back to the questions in a little bit longer. I think it's time for some story time. Yes. So we've talked about, the lead up to conventions, but when it gets to conventions itself, there's always something that goes wrong. And it doesn't matter at what time of day. The concerts are normally at the nighttime after 7 p.m., but there's been things like, oh, hey, we can't find a keyboard. And so I've actually used my personal hotel room as a setup stage to put a keyboard in, and I've had people play the guitar, and they've actually practiced in my hotel room. I'll walk in during the middle of the day and they'll be like strumming away, practicing songs and whatnot. I'll just be like, just grabbing a shirt and some other stuff and I'll be out of the way. So, musicians will make do with what they got.
I tend to be pretty ambitious when putting together the lineup. And I remember, and over time, I've gotten better about being efficient with transitions and sound checking and whatnot. But I remember last year, I won't give specifics because I don't want to give away like who or where, but I was ahead of time. We made like a musician server for everyone accepted to play. And I was explicit with the bands. We want to share as much equipment as possible so we don't have to lug things back and forth or switch microphones or make it's so much easier and not confusing for the sound people, and it's time efficient if we can just share setups and get kind of acquainted and make sure that, we know what we're doing ahead of time. And I put that out there, and I put a couple reminders out there, and I thought we were all good. And then we were setting up for the bands to check its sound check. We had the 2 amps that were like designated as like, these are the electric amps. And we had like the bass amp. We were like all good to go. And the first band was getting ready to set up, and their guitarist just brings another amp on stage and puts it in the middle. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, this is the amp I'm playing. And I was like,
Yes.
It's like, okay, let me go scribble down some notes for the AV team.
Yeah. So if you aren't aware, there's a thing called a tech sheet. And this is what we give to all the musicians and say, you need to submit a tech sheet. You need to tell us everything that you need with regards to microphone, instruments, amps, the lot. Usually DJs is quite easy. You just need a CDJ and, they're good to go. But, live musicians, they might need a bassist. They might need, a drum kit if that's on the list. And so it's up to the AV team, which are always an amazing help, by the way. It's up to the AV team to actually get that stuff together. Like, oh, if we got a drum kit, we're going to need microphones for each bit of the drum kit. Yep. And so that's where we need the tech sheet, usually about a month or 2 in advance, just so we know what we're expecting, rather than a week before. Oh, by the way, yeah, I want a drum kit, so we need an extra 8 mics. It's like, no, you won't be getting an extra 8 mics for a drum kit.
I will bring you a cajon and you will be happy about it.
Yeah, we've even got a rule that if it's no tech sheet, it's no play. Because we need to know exactly what you need on stage. And sometimes that can get lost in communication, not just between the musicians and ourselves, but also between ourselves and the AV team, which did happen at Everfree once. And that was partially my fault, but also, these things just get lost. It was Eileen Monty who requested a music stand so that she was able to, have her notes in front of her. Luck, you've heard this story before, but
I love this story.
Oh boy. So we get there and Eileen Monty rocks up, and it's about, it's an hour before sound check. And she goes, oh, do you have that music stand that I asked for? And I said, oh, I got you a tech sheet and passed on to the AV guys. And the AV guy's like, we didn't get it. So I checked my email. I'm just like, here's the tech sheet. Oh, okay. You need a music stand. we don't have a music stand. So I'm like, what can I jerry rig together to create a music stand? So we end up getting a microphone stand, taking the top off the microphone stand. And I turned to the hotel representative and said, do we have like a, a photo display fold out thing? And he's like, oh yeah, we got one of that. So he comes back with that. So I get this duct tape. I just duct tape this photo display stand onto this microphone stand to create something that can hold a sheet of paper. We put the sheet of paper up there and all the lights are too bright and you can't read anything. So I go grab a hardcover book that was it was some kind of sort of kids nursery book that has a hardcover. I put that on there and I sticky tape that to the display stand, which is duct taped to a microphone stand. Put the sheet of paper on there. I'm like, ta-da, microphone. We got a music stand for you. Yay. It's like, it doesn't look pretty, but it works. Yes.
If you ever see pictures of it though, like it looks like it's supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't know what you were looking for, you'd have no idea.
Yeah. I know it was being posted in the chat once before, but oh yes, that was a thing. So yes, tech sheets, very important for musicians to get to us. And it's also important that we get those tech sheets onto the AV crew.
A part of being the concert manager, though, is like making sure that everyone submits a tech sheet on time and hounding them to get it in. A lot of times, most factors can be mitigated. Like, you shouldn't have a case where 2 days before you need a drum kit. Most of that, it's usually pretty straightforward to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, most of it's always covered, but there's always that one thing that slips through the cracks.
There's always something.
Yeah. We got another question from the chat here is, what are the best moments as a music manager?
I can answer that. I know right away. I always say that the job is like 99% stress, but that 1% of once the show is going and things are working and you don't have to be running around, you can just sit up by the AV team and just watch all this, everything that you've been working so hard to make sure came together. At the point where the show is going, it's smooth, everyone's in place and knows what they're doing, and you can just watch the show. That's the best. That's the 1% of like, this is why I did it. This is why we're here, is I get to enjoy this show that I know I worked hard to make sure it could be as good as it could be.
Yeah, so I'm going to go a little bit off script here. I'm going to do a very quick screen share and show you what some of my favorite, which one is it? Here we go. So is that the right one? Is it working?
Well, it looks like the Everfree Gala. Is that what you wanted?
It is the Everfree Gala. Okay, so the Everfree Gala, yeah. This is actually taken from the AV stand that was in the middle. And you can see that everyone's having an amazing time. And you've also got the musician up on stage. And this is some of our favorite moments from, the concerts are, where we can actually see that everyone's having an awesome time and that it's basically all coming together. Let's see.
Similarly, every time I'm managing and Odyssey is playing, I always make sure to get a video on my phone of the crowd when he plays Discord. Because then even like my friends and family that don't understand anything about Pony, I can show that to them later and be like, this is what I was working on. And it's like, look at all these people jumping up and down.
Yeah. Usually on Odyssey set, I will get up on stage because it's usually the last one on the night. And as you can see in this picture here, he's having an amazing time DJing. Everyone in the crowd's like dancing around, and you might even be able to see some people. There's Faulty, I see Pegasus there, and John Kenza. It's just an awesome time. And this one is from High Roller PonyCon. It's just how it is. It's shots like that make our job worthwhile. And the best part of it, when you can see that absolutely everyone's having a blast and the time of their life. And of course, this is what it looks like backstage with all the equipment there. I think this is a shot from BronyCon.
It looks like BronyCon to me. Well, that is.
Yeah, that's a BronyCon. Yeah, that's definitely a BronyCon. This, all these people. It's just
BronyCon's the only one I've ever known to have music like an AV rig backstage.
Did I run out of pictures already? Or did my thingy just crash? I think it might have crashed.
Uh-oh.
Hooray.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Let's just see one more. Where is it? No, I don't have it. Anyway, yeah. So as you can see from those pictures there, everyone's just, it's an awesome job that pays back exactly like that.
But yeah, I think we agree. The best part is seeing other people enjoy the show.
Absolutely. All right. Another question, favorite song bands like Rammstein, Kiss, AC/DC, Metallica. That's always up to personal preference. You might have a genre that you enjoy, and so you enjoy listening to it. I myself don't have a favorite band, but it depends on the day. Like I'll enjoy listening to, let's say, electro swing. So I'll put on, Daybreaker Boogie from Forever Free Bernie, or, some Caravan Palace or something like that. And I'll just be like, yeah. And then there'll be other days where I want to hear a bit of dance music or, some future house, whatever. So I'll just put that on. There's no real favorite band. Each band has their own thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny for me. It kind of reminded me is, like a lot of people know that I do something with putting music concerts together at different places around the world now and then, but they might not know more than that. And so they'll come to me like talking about modern, like contemporary musicians and whatnot. And I pretty much just listen to pony music because there's so much of it to keep up with. So someone will come at me with like a band I should know that's like on the top of the charts. And I'll be like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. And they're like, but you're a big like music guy, right? I'm like, yeah.
Or you've heard this one song from this one musician where they played it back in the 90s, and it's like, yeah, totally. No,
and then someone will be like, who's your favorite band? I'm like, Blink-182. They're modern. Well, they are kind of modern, but I don't know. Like outside fandom, love Blink-182, love pop punk, which is no surprise that in the fandom I love. If you've never heard of the Lunatics, look them up.
Oh yeah.
Francis Vase and Quicksilver are just like independently fantastic, but when they come together,
Yep. There's always something to appreciate from, other musicians, and regardless of genre. And it's always great to see musicians branch out into other genres and attempt to like mesh what they're good at with something new, and then they just come up with something brilliant.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure you and I could probably give like a laundry list of like, here's 100 musicians you should look up right now.
State of Sugar.
Ponies at Dawn. Equinity was pretty good.
Equinity. Yep. All of them have fandom musicians who create all styles of music, all sorts of genres. Most of these albums are, pay what you want as well. So you can just listen to them, find your favorite musicians, artists, songs, and go from there. There's always something to discover.
Absolutely.
Okay, Drummer Shy has a question, and thank you, Drummer Shy, for playing the concert at the beginning of this con, as well as for running the Renegade stage. So thank you very much for that. Shout out to him. He's got the question: has Brony Palooza been a learning experience on what other cons should learn from in terms of production? Each con is different in the way that it's produced, the team that runs it, the budget. Every con is different. So it's always a learning experience. We're always learning something that works, some things that don't work. And then we'll adapt that to the next con, whether it be the very next from Everfree to Everfree, or if it's from, TrotCon to Ciderfest to, all these different other ones. So it's constant learning experience. You find out what works, what doesn't, and you just carry that knowledge to the next one.
I had never thought of the concept of the super band the way Brony Palooza did it this past year. And then seeing like how efficient it was and how quickly like we could get set up for like a new band and a new sound and totally different players, like super quick. And just like how quickly you could keep a lot of good music playing without like dull moments. I took that and I adapted that and tried to encourage something like that for Ciderfest a couple months later, so that you could get more great music out. You could bring more musicians in, provided it was in the budget. And then it turns into like a much bigger show for the people there to see it. And then we did that, and I found out from the musicians that they hate that and they don't like cramming everything together. And so I then adapted that and just took like the good along with the criticism. And then for HarmonyCon, we tried to do like a shared setup to where that we don't have like 5 different amps we need to use, but we'll allow it so that there can be some changeover in between. We don't have to have everyone playing for everyone. So it started with Brony Palooza, and there were some good ideas there that you take and you adapt them and see what works and grow from there.
Yes, and please, as an audience, give us feedback. Almost every single convention I know of, even this current, PonyFest convention, has a feedback form at the end. We don't know what you want unless you tell us. So if you say stuff that, oh, I really enjoyed this, or I didn't like this, without that feedback, we can't know what to give you. So, we're just going to be left up to our own devices then. So please, if you want to see something, if you want something changed, or if you want more of something, do give feedback.
Absolutely. Please.
There's a few more questions, and we got a little bit of time. Opinions on the ratio of pony to non-pony music that DJs should play at cons. Before we answer that, shout out to Iggy or Black Ice Music, who also played at the beginning of this entire convention. You are outstanding, dude. Straight off the bat after opening ceremonies, it was an epic set, got everyone straight into it. Amazing, and glad to have you here. The question about pony versus non-pony music. I guess being a PonyCon, we're slightly more biased to playing pony over non-pony. It's not that we hate non-pony music. It's just that people come to PonyCons for that pony experience. So we want you to play at least 60%, 70%. I think we have a, differing amount, but so long as the majority of it is pony music and that, the audience can enjoy because of it, I say that's usually a good way to kick it off.
Typically what I will tell the musicians when they're accepted is I'll leave it up to you, but do not let me hear from anyone there that so-and-so didn't play enough pony music. I do have a little bit of a fun story about that, though. I remember for one, I won't give specific names, but for one convention in particular, there was an act that was a fairly recognizable name. But there was some staff concerns that this person wouldn't play enough pony music and cause people to be upset. And so we put it in their contract that there had to be a certain level of pony music, or else there would be some issues down the line. And there were no problems.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, so we do try and, get enough pony music in there. And it usually works out for the better. Just know that if the audience notes that you're not playing enough pony music, it's never a good look.
Right. One thing, so I come from very much like a band acoustic music type background. Before like joining the fandom, I'm pretty sure I didn't even know EDM was a thing. But over time and doing what we do, I've learned a lot from it. But even now, I'll still learn some things like I was talking to someone from a con not too long ago who was a DJ, who was having trouble finding like the kind of quality pony music in the genre that they wanted to mix with what they had, which isn't, there's plenty of resources out there that you should be able to find some stuff. But it was a little bit eye-opening that, you think about like having just like a popular not pony song to kind of be a go-between for songs is important for the DJ to like keep quality up as well as like keep a good flow and something they're comfortable with. And so while I'm a very big stickler for having lots of pony music, it's important to like sort of realize that there's a leniency that you should have when watching the music, that, there's a reason they're doing it this way.
Yep.
Stay tuned.
Definitely.
He's going to play Discord.
Yeah. We have a question for us. European con that you want to attend or staff? I would love to go. Bad. I was going to say, yeah, I'd love to go to Galacon, but there are other, European and UK based cons as well. The UK PonyCon
is Everfree Encore. Yeah. I'm dying to go to that. They had Brony Coney is a Russian band, and they only play like in Russia and Everfree Encore. And I want to see them more than anyone live. And I was so jealous the year they went.
Absolutely.
Like, I wish I could be there.
Yeah.
So Forest Rain was like DMing me from like when they were playing. I'm like, it hurts. I wish I was there.
Oh no. Yeah, there's lots of European cons like that, and definitely the more music focused ones like the Encore. Absolutely.
I had planned. I started making plans to go to Galacon this year, and then, but as long as it's still happening, like I will get to European cons. I think, is Griffish Isles still going? I don't know if anyone in the chat knows or whatnot, but I've seen.
I think with the current environment, it's hard to know what's going on at the moment.
That's fair. That always looked like fun to me too.
Mm-hmm.
Even before I started going to as many cons as I do now, I remember just like looking through Twitter during con weekend and just seeing like all these people having fun. And at a certain point, I was like, why am I not going there?
I've actually been through Europe, and it's awesome. It's great.
Jealous.
Is there any way that the audience to request songs that they wanted? Most of the musicians, they're approachable. You can walk up to them and say, hey dude, I really like this song, can you play it in your set? Make sure that it's the right type of musician. So you wouldn't want to go up with a country song to a heavy dubstep DJ, although they might give them a challenge. But yeah, all musicians are approachable at cons. They're usually in the con book, so you can find them out pretty easily. There's normally a meet and greet with the musicians at con as well. So if there is a song that you want to, hear from someone, ask them to play it. I'm sure they'd love to do it.
Conventions will release their lineups ahead of time too. So if you see someone that you really like and there's a song of theirs you want to hear, I mean, it can't hurt just to like reach out and be like, hey, I can't wait to see you at PFO. Big fan of your music. If you play this song, Iggy, if you play the Fuff, I'm going to be dancing to it.
Oh yeah. Iggy's going to play the Fuff next time, right? Always. Yeah, and they've almost always got their social media on there, whether it be Twitter or Bandcamp, SoundCloud, whatever. You can send a message to them. It's pretty easy, and they would love to know that they have fans as well. So it's a two-way street there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Someone's asked, Iggy makes music. Yes, Iggy does make music and was on the latest Ponies at Dawn album, I believe. So
he's memeing.
Pretty sure they make music.
Iggy was just on was it ASOS? Iggy was on ASOS too. I keep up. I know what's going on.
All right. Any more stories before we get back to the Bitrate stage questions? We're loving the questions, by the way. Feel free to ask us, anything you want. I think it would be a good opportunity to revisit the Cider Fest from 2018, because one of the best things that happens after all the concerts and stuff's done is that all the musicians are free to do what they like. And at that con, we decided, oh, let's go to dinner.
Do you have the picture?
I don't have the picture on hand. Let me go
I'll
grab it.
I'll look for it. I'll look for it. You keep
I'll
telling.
Look for it. I'll look for it. Okay. Are you sure? Because I've got.
Well, we both can. Can you talk and look at the same time?
Oh yeah, I can talk and look.
All right.
So, no, you look for it. I'll talk. So we organized this dinner, and remember how at the beginning I said that it was the largest music pony convention ever? Well, we had a lot of musicians, and a lot of musicians all wanted to go to dinner. So we had approximately, oh, hey, yeah, let's go to dinner with like a few musicians. And they went, oh, hang on, let me ask my friend. And they asked their musician friend and their musician friend. And before we knew it, we had about 30 plus people all wanting to go to dinner at the same time. So we let the restaurant know ahead of time, hey, do you mind if we come and, come for dinner? And then, we'll have like 20.
Said 15 to 20 people. We did a head count. It's 40.
Yeah. So we all walked over there. We even had to like stop as a group at the lights and then all cross all at the same time because there were that many people that we had to like coordinate all this stuff as we walked to the restaurant. And then we got to the restaurant. The waitresses and waiters looked outside and went, oh dear. We will be about 5 to 10 minutes as we prepare all the tables and stuff. So we, as a group of 40 musicians out the front of this restaurant, we're just standing around, but people are still going in and out. So we decided to create our own guard of honor. And what we did is we got on each side of the walkway and formed like a 20 by 20 row. And people were walking past and we had our hands over each other, creating this, bridge gap. And people were walking through and we'd be like, hey, as they were walking out of the restaurant. And as they were walking in, we'd be like, hey. And so can you imagine all 40 musicians just being there randomly, and the waiters loved it, the waitresses loved it, people going in and out were just having a blast as well. It was fantastic.
Can I say that's become a tradition now? That if we have to wait for something at a musician dinner, we do the bridge now, and it's always a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And now like a post concert musician dinner seems to be a thing that they love as well.
Another story about that particular musician dinner. So earlier that year, one of the first gigs I ever got to play at a musicians con was I got to play the gala at Everfree Northwest 2018. And there were a lot of really good musicians there that year. And afterwards they went to a musician dinner at a nearby restaurant. And since that was one of like my first official gigs, I was like, oh, this must be a tradition. This must be something they do at every con. And so when we did Cider Fest, I wanted to make sure that we did that again. And so, we were getting the reservations and making sure it all happened. And that just kept going from there. And then a couple cons later, I found out that like that was just a one-time thing at Everett. It was like, no, that's not a thing. That was just, someone had a good idea. But I was so sure that that was a tradition. I was like, oh, we got to keep it going.
Yep.
And now it is a tradition.
Oh, yeah.
I found a picture of a bunch of musicians on the stairwell from that con. I can't seem to find
that'll do. Just do that because that'll give you an idea about the number of musicians we had all going to dinner all at once.
Right. I can just share the photos, so I can do that. Is that showing up all right? Can you see?
Yep. That's coming through all good.
This was, a lot of them had to leave because this was Sunday night. So this is maybe half the musicians we had there.
Yeah.
And some of their friends.
So just imagine that entire crowd all going to dinner all at once. And it was chaos, mayhem, and I wouldn't have had it any other way.
Absolutely.
And we got 2 more questions from the chat before we have to start winding down. The first one is it possible to play a remix of pony music with pop music? Absolutely. Go to YouTube, type in your song, type in remix, and some DJ somewhere will have, done it in some way, shape, or form.
I've two things on that. One is that I know some DJs. Sometimes when I talk to them, they'll actually tell me like how things work because I don't know DJ speak or technique. Because this is technique apparently. That's how bad it is. But I know a couple DJs specialize in what's called doubling, where they'll play two songs on top of each other. And so it's, with musicians like them, it's common that you might hear a pop song with like pony vocals over top of it. And it makes sense. You might hear like a pony instrumental with, top 40 singing or some mismatch of the sorts. The other one was I try my best to keep up with all of the fandom music coming out. Actually, I have a server, and every Thursday night, I'll just go through as much as I can find that's new, and whoever's in the stream will just watch and listen to new pony music. And this 2 days ago, we found one. Someone recently did a mashup of the Pony Life theme with "Never Gonna Give You Up." And we loved it.
That's a meme, isn't it? That's a meme.
Yeah, oh yeah,
that's gotta be.
It's one I haven't seen in a little while, but it was so good.
And we have one more question. This one is from Larsus, and it says, "What is sound?" Now, I think that the best person to answer, what is sound, is probably the AV crew. So I think we should get some people from the AV crew into this call, just maybe one or two, or, however many people want to actually join us in this lovely call that we got going. And they can answer what is sound. Oh, hello there, Larsus.
Larsus, maybe you can answer Larsus's question.
Yes, maybe you can answer this question. What is sound? Oh, hey, Ryuji. Hello, Winter.
First of all, I think that Larsus guy is kind of a moron, and you shouldn't
say hi to Papaya.
Oh,
but his fish is cool.
Yes. Oh, and hello there, Beaky. Yay! Beaky's giving us a wave, and Winter has a
friends.
As a papaya,
and that's a snake.
So,
Danger Noodle.
So this is the crew that makes all of this stuff work. As you can see, we're all highly qualified and not at all weird.
Not at all. They also know their AV very well because the Siri over there figured out that you have to turn your webcam off elsewhere in order for it to work in Zoom. Ryuji has all the plushies happening. Winchester has his workshop going really well, complete with cowboy hat.
Yeah. Now, what's funny about it is that in this industry right now, there aren't a lot of concerts and stuff going on, so we find other things to do. I, for example, help run COVID test sites, so when you pull up, I'll be the one that has the swab ready to go, and I'll just say, hold very still.
Yes. So this is our lovely AV crew, and all the stuff that happens at concerts happens because of these guys. They're the ones that get the equipment, make it all work, and help us, put together that concert. Oh, thank you, Winchester. Thanks for that. You can see the boards there. It's
we tend to do fun stuff like this.
Oh yeah. They run the mixing.
Show off.
Yes, they run the sound mixing, the equipment, setting up the stage, tearing it down at the end of the con as well. Get those muscles ready.
Don't forget other departments.
Oh, yes.
I thought the job was to hand it off to the union crew and let them deal with it while we all get dinner.
And wait around all day.
What's a dinner again?
It's that mythical thing that you find in like Olympus, or that's ambrosia.
It's that thing we take the musicians to while AV's striking.
That thing. Yeah.
Version of the cake is a lie.
Lycan, I have another question, a late question. Are you okay for a quick question?
Yeah, just in a second. We've also got to thank the charity department. Thank you, Ryuji, for that. They also make
sound.
Lots of monies. They make lots of monies for all the charities. I think what con was it last year that we finally tipped over the $1 million mark with regards to all the money that had been donated to charities.
Actually, that wasn't last year. That was 2 years ago. I would love to say that was Cider Fest.
I think it might have
believe
been
it
Cider
was.
Fest. Yeah, it was a Charlie Con. I think it was Cider Fest.
Well, since we're praising Ciderfest 2018 already, it was Ciderfest.
Yeah.
Well,
Now, what's funny is that the story Lycan's been telling about the musicians and stuff, we view it as the other thing is the musicians are the people who come up there and break our stage for us.
Oh, yes.
And
We put
in,
it through all the paces.
and in 2 cases, our dance floor as well.
don't forget
Actually, 3.
panelists.
Like, and
Yep.
has AV ever sent you on stage to tell someone something like really silly or just like, have you ever had a strange request? Not a horrifyingly depressing one, just like a strange, like, because I've had to go on stage a couple times and say like weird things to musicians.
Not that I can remember. I mean,
I can remember one. I can remember one I told you,
Uh-oh.
which was just go up there and tell them twist it to the left. And you said, wait, what? And I said, just tell him, he'll know what that means.
At TrotCon last year, Rectifier was playing, and Rectifier puts a lot of memes into his set. But while he was playing, the Discord notification noise went off, and the AV guy told me, he's like, very sternly, he's like, go up there and tell him to disable notifications. So I was like, I scooted right around, and I kind of crawled up on stage, and I was like, hey, Discord, disable your Discord. And he leans over and he's like, it was part of the song.
Yeah,
I was like, okay.
What's funny about that
I
is
kind of remember that. I
based off of
actually remember that.
based off of what you said, I know who that AV guy was.
Yeah, you do.
But yes, so we do owe a lot to our lovely AV department, some of who are here right now. So thank you. Everyone in the chat should be thanking the AV for making the concerts, making the entire convention run, not just the concerts.
That's true. It's insane what these people can like put together and how much better the main stage is for their work.
Yeah,
And
and
you
because they're
don't see
here, they
nothing
can even give
behind
us like a 3-minute warning as well.
Yeah, I actually can. That'll be in about 18 seconds.
Okay. Good call. Good call.
Actually, in less than 15 seconds, it'll be the 2-minute warning.
Yay!
I just love the fact with even an online convention, you need an AV crew.
Yeah, especially.
The very first
Oh,
one of
yeah.
these, I was the AV crew, and at the end of that, I got sick, so I was just like, never again. And plus, I get to sit here and talk smack with these people.
How did
yes,
you
all
get
the fluff.
Concrud from an online convention?
You need to use Linux, I guess.
Yes.
I don't
like
know.
that.
Let's ask Reggie. How do you get White Claw at an online convention?
I don't know, but I'm upgrading right now. Nice.
Just so you know, that's the charity department. The AV crew does not condone drinking alcohol of any kind.
Hold on. I know for a
Well-
fact that's not true.
No, this is definitely Coke. It's definitely not.
Yeah, it's apple juice, right?
It's definitely not this stuff.
That's how you
Yeah,
keep the
Yeah,
workstation
we
sanitized.
definitely don't have any of this.
Oh,
Yeah.
such a gentleman. Okay, well,
Anyway.
we are on the verge of wrapping up.
Lycan, I do have one last question.
Yes.
Where is the play button?
It's right in the middle there. You got to like get
Ah.
the play button, and I'm sure you'll find it.
Clarify, I was BronyCon charity.
I think
Uh,
the water is working on Ryuji.
Yeah, it is. So as we're wrapping up, because we got less than a minute left, we're going to have closing ceremonies right after this. And then after that, we have the concerts, which are going to be brought to you by Nevermorn as well as Faulty. Now, Faulty has a very special location in mind. Some of the AV crew already know that very special location, but I don't think the audience is ready. They are
He's
really
not
ready.
base jumping from the Petronas Twin Towers in Kuala Lumpur.
Is
No.
someone at least driving this time?
No, that was what made it so fun.
Yes.
And
If you
we're
remember the
now-
first,
Guys,
Yeah,
we're now
we're,
over.
Yay, we're over. The first faulty set was outside with solar panels. The second faulty set was in the back of a truck. And now the third faulty set is going to be in a very, very fun location. So be sure to check that out. And also Nevermorn is right after closing ceremonies. It's the concert after party. Look out for that. Anyway, I think that's about it. Thank you, AV crew, for joining us here. Last words.
Can I point out one last thing that if we're going over right now, it's very appropriate because it's a concert panel.
I will switch us in the middle.
Yes. Okay. Bye all.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Love you, Winchester.